You remember that awesome time when vampires were actually badass and Joel Schumacher movies were actually good?
Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you.
Alright, what up motherfuckers, I'm Eric Harrison, welcome to the Death Twitch Horror Review. Now, on my last video, I just so happened to mention The Lost Boys, and it got me, like, just wanting to fucking talk about this movie. So, this time around, we're gonna actually talk about and review that badass 80s rock and roll vampire movie, The Lost Boys. But first, I would like to introduce you to the Death Twitch drinking game. For all my viewers out there that are of legal drinking age, wherever you happen to fucking be, you better be legal drinking age, motherfuckers. And, you know, be safe, don't fucking drink and drive and all that shit, because I'm not going to be responsible for that, your stupid ass decision. But, with all that bullshit out of the way, let's actually get into the rules of this goddamn drinking game. Number 1, drink anytime I curse. So, you know, shit, fuck, piss, cunt, you know, all the classics. Drink anytime Eric curses. Rule number fucking 2. Oh, there's one. Better start pounding. Rule number 2. Drink anytime I say or Now, I do try and edit plenty of those out, but some of them slip by, so those are going to be a few drinks you'll be taking. Rule number motherfucking 3. Drink anytime I mention the 80s. So yeah, you're fucking screwed. Again, enjoy, have fun. This is to be played with any of my reviews here on the Death Twitch, past, present, or future. But please drink responsibly. And with all that said, let's jump into The Lost Boys from 1987.
Michael and Sam have just moved to Santa Carla, California. They're about to discover its secret.
Notice anything unusual about Santa Carla yet?
No. It's a pretty cool place. If you're a Martian.
Or a vampire.
Michael, they're coming! Oh, shit!
Alright, so The Lost Boys came out in 1987. It was directed by Joel Schumacher. The original idea for this movie was kind of loosely based on one of the writer's observations that Peter Pan and the Lost, you know, and his crew of the Lost Boys sort of seemed a little bit like vampires. Like they never grew old, they never died, they seemed to only come out at night a lot of the time, they could fly around. So I guess one of the co-writers of this movie was watching Peter Pan and was like, hey, what if it was like Peter Pan and the Lost Boys were all vampires? So the original draft of this script, all the characters were children. It was very much like, yeah, if it was Peter Pan and he was a vampire. The guy that was originally going to direct this, Richard Donner, who wound up being executive producer, instead of directing The Lost Boys, he went on to do Lethal Weapon instead. So they needed to bring in a new director, and they recruited Joel Schumacher, who, for whatever reason, he's like, you know, it's a job, I gotta take it, I'll do this, but I don't like the idea that they're children. Can we, you know, make these characters teenagers, bring some rock and roll into it, bring some humor into the horror, and make this an actual fun, badass teen vampire movie set in the 80s. So that's what happened, and then all the kid characters got then rewritten into be teens, and all the vampires became fucking rock stars and badasses and shit. Alright, so the plot of this movie, which is funny to say because this movie barely has any plot, but it's about this mother and her 2 teen sons moving from Arizona to California to a town just so happens to be infested by vampires, where one of them falls in love with a hottie vampire, and then the other meets 2 amateur vampire slayers. And that's it. That's your plot of the movie. It's simple. It's direct. It's to the point. Didn't need to overcomplicate things. I like that, though. I like that about this movie. Well, I want to say right off the bat, I really like the scene where Michael sees Star for the first time, and it's just like, it's pretty much love at first sight between the two. I really like the scene. I think it's very well directed, very well acted by the 2 actor and the actress. It really looks like you can just see it on their faces, like they just fell for each other. And I don't know about you guys, I suspect plenty of people out there probably haven't had an instance where they saw a hottie and was just like, couldn't take your eyes off of them. I've been there, so I can really relate to this scene. I've had that experience, like that exact fucking experience where you just see someone and you're just like, holy shit, I gotta go and get a piece of that. But anyway, yeah, I like that scene a lot. And you know what? I don't blame Michael because damn Star is a fucking hottie. She really is. She is looking fine in this movie. Hot vampire. Vampiress? Vampiress? Anyway. Yeah, so speaking of the vampires, all the vampires in this movie look just absolutely fucking badass. They all look like rock stars. In fact, see, look, I'm trying to imitate them because damn, they're cool. I want to be cool too. But anyway, yeah, they look great, and considering the time that this movie came out, that could have gone real wrong. In fact, everything about how rock and roll this movie is, it could have gone in the wrong direction, and I'm really fucking glad that, I don't know who was in charge of keeping this movie on track, but they did a good job. Because what I mean by that is, this movie came out in 1987, that means it was probably shot around 86, probably beginning of 87 or whatever, and glam metal was the big thing at the time. In the early 80s, you know, bands, Motley Crue came out, they all looked badass and cool and shit. Over the course of the 80s, everybody became more and more feminine. All these bands became more and more feminine. They started looking more and more like women. So around 87, we kind of lucked out in the sense that whoever did the costumes, the designs of these vampires, they made, it seems like they made a conscious decision to, let's make them look more like Guns N' Roses and less like, you know, Poison. So if they had gone the glam route, this movie wouldn't stand the test of time the way it does. So I think we dodged a bullet there, and I want to thank whoever the fuck was in charge of making these vampires look like complete badasses, because they do. Of course, The Lost Boys is the movie that kicked off like the whole two Corys thing, where Corey Feldman and Corey Haim were starring in a bunch of movies together after this. This was the first one, probably the best one. And speaking of Corey Haim, I want to say right now that when you watch this movie, you can see like the talent. He's like really charismatic, so talented. He's full of potential. It's no wonder that he blew up at the time and became like a huge teen star. I want to say it's really tragic the way his life ultimately ended. So here at the Death Twitch, we're going to show a little respect and say rest in peace, Corey Haim. You are totally missed. I kind of want to just take a moment right now, and let's just all just take a moment and actually, what is the right word I'm even looking for? Let's appreciate the amount of enthusiasm that Tim Capello, the greasy muscle sax player in this movie, just the amount of enthusiasm he put into his performance. I mean, that's a performer. Holy shit, he got like, what, 40, 50 seconds? Probably not even that much in a movie. And it's like, he stands out, you're like, God damn, that sax player was really fucking into it, wasn't he? Dude, he was into it. God bless him, man. God bless him. What else oh yeah, I want to say, like, okay, so, you heard me earlier when I was explaining the plot, that this is one of those movies where, I consider this the definition of entertainment, as far as I'm concerned. If somebody asks, like, what do you think, when it comes to movies, what do you think entertainment means? I'd say, well, have you seen The Lost Boys? Because that's fucking entertainment. The movie has almost no plot. It is so, like, fucking paper thin, almost no plot. Really, I'm not dissing the movie. It is so fucking entertaining. It's visually striking. The music is so badass. It just gets you up and you're like, oh damn, this is awesome. It's all rock and roll and shit. Get your fucking blood pumping and shit. The acting is all very good. But there just happens to be almost no plot at all. I love that though. We let that slide because the rest of everything else is fine. It's all entertaining. So yes, The Lost Boys equals entertainment in my eyes. Let's see. We're going to get into some spoiler territory now. So, you know, if you hadn't seen the movie yet, there are a few things I'm going to talk about right now that might spoil some shit for you. If you're one of those people that are really bothered by that, now would be a good time to go and change your tampon. And then when you get back, we'll probably be past the spoilers. All right? Cool. Yeah, so a few things I want to talk about is, I really like how they mislead us about who the head vampire is through the movie. I think it is clever the way they did it. They put it in your face and then they take it away again. They give you the answer and then they make you question, wait, who is the head vampire? And, you know, so I think they did a really good job of that. Some other things that are kind of a spoiler is, there's some interesting things going on in this movie. Like, for instance, the opening scene when you first see the Lost Boys walking on the merry-go-round. They're at that carnival place, whatever. They're on the merry-go-round, and you see him walk towards the camera and shit. And apparently, this is kind of a prediction of the order in which they die, but backwards. So if you play that shit backwards, they actually do die in this order. First, it's Marco, Paul, Dwayne, and then finally David. I don't know why they did it backwards. I don't know why they put that in there at all, but that's a cool little trivia tidbit. The other thing I want to mention that's sort of, I don't know, sort of a spoiler. I guess it's not really. But at the end, when David bites the dust, he kind of goes out quietly. Light shines on him, and then he just he just rests. And it looks all peaceful and kind of angelic. They didn't make David explode or anything like the other vampires because they actually intended on bringing him back for a sequel called The Lost Girls, which unfortunately wound up never being made. It was scripted from my understanding, but it was never made. I don't know why exactly. I wonder why. I would have actually liked to have seen that, especially if it had come out relatively soon after The Lost Boys. I think that could have been pretty cool. Instead, they waited like decades before finally making some sequels that honestly I have not even bothered to watch because they just probably look like shit. But you guys let me know in the comments. Are the sequels any good? Let me know. And if they're all right, I'll check them out. I think we've got everything covered, so let's rate this sucker, guys. I really want to give it a 3 3/4. I'm going to bump it right up to fucking 4 because it's the goddamn Lost Boys and it's badass and it's awesome. It's a really good blend of horror, humor, and rock and roll, man. That's pretty much everything I'm all about. So fucking 4 out of 5. Check it out, god damn it. Eric said so. Whatever. Check it out, guys. And you know what? Fucking sun has just gone down. And honestly, I got some shit to do. Catch you guys on the next review. Peace out. I mean, I'm just going to the bar to get a drink. So I'll see ya.